What's going on, guys, and welcome back to F1 2021 for My Team Career Mode Season 4, round number 2, the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. We're here once again at Imola for the second time in this career mode to see how we can do. We had a good run here last time. I believe we got second place last season. It was like one of only, I think, 2 or 3 podiums we had last season. So we're looking to do good here again. We came third last time out in round 1 in China. This is what R&D looks like at the moment. It's basically TGL Motorsport, my team, and Mercedes right at the top there. And then there's a big mix of McLaren, Aston Martin, Red Bull, Alfa Romeo, Ferrari. They're all in the mix there. A little bit further down is AlphaTauri. Then you've got Alpine. Big gap to Williams, big gap to Haas. So yeah, still definitely a big fight at the front, although it looks at the moment that myself and Mercedes are the two quickest teams on the grid, just slightly ahead of, you know, like another 5 teams. So we go into Q1 here now, once again doing my AI difficulty calculator. So you know, this has worked out pretty well for us in the previous races, so I was hoping it'd work out once again for us here. It didn't work out massively for us in China last time out. In qualifying, we didn't do well in qualifying at all. We didn't even get through to Q3, so yeah, wasn't great there. But in Q1 here, we go P2, just behind Hamilton, only two and a bit tenths behind him, and we actually got stuck behind Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari for a good amount of that lap. And as you can see here, big upset as both Red Bulls do not make it out of Q1. The track got wet, as you can see here in Q2, as I have a little look around Gasly, because once again, another lap massively screwed over. Well, I say massively screwed over, doesn't end up really being an issue in the end, but screwed over by another car here with Pierre Gasly just in the way when he's doing his out lap, I believe. But yeah, I got stuck behind Sainz there. The Red Bulls didn't get past Q1 because they didn't do a lap time on the soft tyres. On the dry tyres, they only did a lap time on the intermediates and didn't get through. In Q2, even with getting stuck behind Gasly, we still go P1. We go P1 in Q2 here. Now, this is a bit weird with my pace and everything, but, you know, because this is kind of a dry to wet qualifying session, things can go a bit wrong here. George Russell is out in Q2, so it's polar opposite of last time. As we get to Q3, at the end of Q3, the track had dried out, so we were back on soft tyres once again. So I'm going for my run on soft tyres here. So looking at our pace so far, or at least with how things have been going, we're on for a potential first ever pole position. I don't think I have got a single pole position in this My Team career mode of ours. We go purple in the first sector here, and I must say I do really like Imola. It's one of my favourite tracks on the game. I loved when they added it. I reckon it's got to be my favourite of the tracks they've added. I just really like the flow of the track and just the feel of it. It's really quick in a lot of sections and just has this, I love this section here as well, the fast downhill double right-hander. It's just such a fun track, honestly one of my favourite tracks in the game. As we go through, we go purple in Sector 2 as well. Now, one thing to consider though is that I'm one of the first cars doing a soft tyre run here. Pretty much everybody else has done runs on the intermediates. I didn't bother going out on the intermediates at all because I knew that the track would be drying out towards the end, so I thought I might as well just wait till the end and just go for a good run on the dry tyres. As we come through to the final part of the track, we go over the line, we go quickest, but that may change coming into this, but it doesn't, and we go pole position. It's I believe our first pole position of this whole My Team career mode. It's only taken us 4 seasons to do it. We're ahead of Lando Norris, just about 2 tenths, I think. We're a decent amount ahead of him there in P2, and it's Carlos Sainz P3, so a bit of a mixed up grid here. Both Alfa Romeos in Q3 as well, so this could be a spicy race.
Hello there and welcome back to Imola, home circuit of the Scuderia Ferrari. We expect to see a lot of local supporters in red today. They've all turned out for what we have every expectation of being a sensational event here at the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. A lap of Imola, anti-clockwise of course, unlike most of the Formula 1 circuits, will take our drivers around 3.1 miles of track. 19 turns, 9 right-handers and 10 left. Drivers will need to be precise at the hairpin at turn 7, given the subsequent uphill section. Without a good exit from that corner, they'll lose a lot of time on that stretch. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the commentary box. Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of turn 1. So how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
Well, the throttle goes both ways, Crofty. You've got to have the discipline not to try and win the race on the first lap. So always be prepared to lift early and give those around you more space. Trying to be the last of the late breakers with half a dozen cars around you may pay off from time to time, but it's also a great way to lose your front wing.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Shaw lines up on pole position, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Sainz, Leclerc, Max Verstappen and Hamilton, Vettel, Gasly, Eilert and Nicholas Latifi, Ocon, Lundgaard, Nobuharu Matsushita and Stroll, Russell, Joe, Yuki Tsunoda and Antonio Giovinazzi, Perez, Fernando Alonso, Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
Alright, so we've got an interesting grid going up for us here. It's our first pole position, the first ever time on pole position to 5 red lights, and away we go. This is honestly polar opposites of last round where Russell, our teammate, was on pole. We were down in P16. It's opposite this time, but we don't get the best start. Lando Norris gets a better start than us into turn 1. We've also got, I believe that's Carlos Sainz, having a look into turn 1 as well, but we just about managed to defend from him. But Norris has managed to get a great start, and he's up ahead of us just over half a second, 5/10 in front of us right now, so we've got to try and chase him back down. It's Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc and the 2 Ferraris behind us. Sainz on the medium tyres though, so potentially, not gonna... He could hold the rest of the pack up there on those medium tyres. As we continue on, Norris still ahead of us here, and we're trying to catch back up to him, just getting back into the groove of it here. I just love this track so much. It's such a fun track to drive, and yeah, a great track to race around here as well. We had a pretty good race last season, like I said. I'm pretty sure I came home P2, so we're looking for the win here. Unfortunately, we have lost first place from the start, but it's just going to mean that we're going to have a bit more of a fight. But end of lap 1, the virtual safety car has been deployed. What has gone on there? VSC on lap number 1. We haven't even got all the way around the track. And as we have a little look here at the 2 Red Bulls, it is actually right down the back of the pack as Giovinazzi goes for a massive dive around the outside of his teammate Sergio Perez, as Perez had a big issue through that section. These guys trying to make their way through the pack after a terrible qualifying, but Giovinazzi goes straight into the back of the Williams of, I believe that's Nobuharu Matsushita, and that is Giovinazzi going to have to come into the pits for a front wing change. But now the virtual safety car is ending on lap 2. It wasn't a full course safety car, but that is definitely not good for the Red Bulls, and definitely not for defending world champion Antonio Giovinazzi. As we continue on here with the 2 Ferrari, Charles Leclerc looking to get past his teammate Carlos Sainz because he's on the soft tyres, Sainz is on the medium, so Leclerc is going to want to be going through as much as he can here. The Ferrari, not one of the quicker cars this season, but it is somewhat in that fight. They've actually just overtaken Alfa Romeo because they were behind them prior to this race. But the two Ferraris are battling it out, but Leclerc manages to get the position on his teammate and can try and charge up ahead to me and Norris. Speaking of that battle, I'm right on the back of Lando Norris, and we've got a pretty big gap to the cars behind us because of the battle with the 2 Ferraris. And now with DRS, I'm going for a move on Lando Norris round the outside on the straight, and we get the move done before we even get to turn 1. We've got the fastest lap of the Grand Prix as well, and we're back up into P1. It's only taken us 4 laps, and we're back into the prime position. As we have a look at our teammate George Russell here, way down the grid, started in P15, like I said, pretty much polar opposite, well, pretty much the same as what happened to me last race out, with him on pole and me in P16. This time it's me on pole, him in P15. He's got to make his way through the grid here, going for a move on one of the Alpha Tauri's there. I think that might have been Yuki Tsunoda, I'm not 100% sure, but he's made the move on the Alpha Tauri and is up another position, trying to fight his way into the points. As we have a look here at Nicholas Latifi, the Alfa Romeo's a pretty decent car this season. They're in that midfield battle for sure, and Latifi with DRS is actually having a little look at Lewis Hamilton. It's Latifi versus Hamilton, Alfa Romeo versus Mercedes. This is a battle that I'd love to see in real life, but Latifi can't quite get the move done on Hamilton this time out. Remembering that the Mercedes is the second fastest car on the grid, Alfa Romeo is kind of like the 5th or maybe even the 6th fastest now, but they're well in there with that kind of mid-top midfield sort of pack. And on the next lap round, or the next lap after that, Latifi's actually got the move done with DRS on Lewis Hamilton, and he's up in front of the 8-time world champion in this career mode of ours. So awesome work from Latifi there. He's currently outperforming his teammate of Callum Ilott, who's just a bit further behind. As we continue on here, lap number 10, we're just pulling away from Norris, and this is getting me a little bit worried in a way. Not worried about the win or the race, because keep going like this without any issues, then I can easily win this race. But the AI difficulty calculator does not seem to have really worked out here. I actually turned the difficulty up a little bit from qualifying. I turned it up by 3 points, and it still seems like I have a considerable advantage over the rest of the field. So yeah, this is kind of the first, well, kind of the second instance of the AI difficulty calculator not really working, because it didn't really work last time in China. However, for the race, I put it up a couple of notches, and that seemed to pretty much even it out, and we were just about where we wanted to be. But as we come around here, we've already got lapped cars in front of us, but we're not going to be lapping them just yet as we come into the pits for our one and hopefully only pit stop onto a set of, I believe, hard tyres, or it might be mediums. I'm not 100% sure here. I'll have a little look in a second, but yeah, we're out of the pits for our one and only pit stop to see if we can go to the end of the race on these tyres. I'm not sure. Have a little look as they go past. That looks to be the hard tyres. So got hard tyres as Pierre Gasly very close to us on the pit exit there, but we just about managed to stay ahead of him. I don't think he's come in for a pit stop yet though. As we look now at Max Verstappen, starting a little bit further down the order than I suppose he would have liked, not right up there with his teammate, as he's going for a move on Sebastian Vettel in the Aston Martin as he goes round the outside and he tags Vettel. Vettel has a little bit of a slide there, as we watched on Vettel's point of view, just smacks into the left front tyre of Verstappen, and that just catches him off. Thankfully it stops it from spinning. It doesn't look like there's any damage, just wheel-to-wheel combat, but yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate for Sebastian Vettel there, running in a decent position within the top 5, I'm pretty sure, at the moment. As we now look on at Sergio Perez, he's trying to make his way through the order after that terrible qualifying, going for a move on, I think that's actually Nicholas Latifi right there, and Perez is up into another position, so good on Perez. He's definitely going to be wanting to make up for that qualifying, because it was abysmal by Red Bull Racing this time out. As we're continuing on here, still in the lead, and we've got a good 6-second gap to Norris in second, but Yuki Tsunoda is out of the session with what I believe is just a mechanical failure, and there will not be a safety car or anything here, so everything just carries on as usual. As we are now coming up to our first set of back markers, Nikita Mazepin breezed past him in the Haas just there, and then we've got a Williams that looks like up ahead of us, and it's Fernando Alonso down in P20 here, and a fair way off his teammate, so I don't know what's going on with him. He must have had a pretty shocking start to be way down the back there. As next up, we've got Mick Schumacher in the other Haas. I mean, those Haas's are really not good. It looks like he is slowing down for us, but he slows down at the worst point, and we have to take avoiding action to get around, and that was not a good spot for him. He just stopped on the racing line, going down the hill. You can see he slows at this point here, but it's a terrible place to stop. You should have just waited, or just, I don't know, gone round here and then let me go where Mazepin let me go, but that was a bit of a scary close moment with Schumacher. Now we've caught up to the other Williams of Nobuharu Matsushita, but he's gone for a spin on the second to last corner. What is going on here with the AI? Schumacher almost gets in our way or does get in our way and nearly causes a bad crash for us. And the next car we come to overtake, Matsushita, goes for a spin on the second to last corner, just plants his foot down way too much there, goes for a full spin round, and well, it's no damage for him, and I mean, it's easy enough for us to get past him, I guess. Hasn't really affected us in any way there. Very nearly got caught up in that, to be honest, but managed to get through without any issues. But yeah, that's not good for the Williams driver, that's for sure. As we continue on here, lap number 29, is that? I can't really see. Lewis Hamilton going for a move back on Latifi once again, gets a little bit of a wobble, and he's also lapping the Haas there as well, but Hamilton has managed to get past Latifi, so he's back on a charge through the field once again. Max Verstappen here, as the sky seems to be getting quite gloomy. It looks like it's got quite a bit darker towards the end of this race. We will not have any rain, but I think a few more laps and we would, as Verstappen, having a really sneaky little look on the inside of, I believe that's Sergio Perez, his former teammate there, but Verstappen manages to get round the next part and is round the outside into turn 1. That was a very scary moment going through that kink, which I guess that's technically turn 1, isn't it? But that was really scary. He had a little look up the inside, but he wasn't there. That wasn't a move that was ever really going to happen, and it almost ended up in disaster for Verstappen. But we head on to our final lap of the Grand Prix. It's been an easy sail for us, and it's a little bit disappointing, really. Like I said, we've just kind of dominated this after Norris, getting past at the start, and once we got back past him again, we never looked back, and we just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and have ended up with like a 12-second lead at the end of this race. Yeah, a little bit unfortunate. I think it's, the AI difficulty calculator has not worked out for us this time out, really. I mean, it's worked out in our favour, but hasn't unfortunately made for the most exciting race. But we are going to come through to win the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. It is one of my favourite tracks on the game, and we've got the victory. Second race of the season, first victory, and that's 2 podiums on the trot. First time we've done that as well, so it is a very good start to the season. This should also see us take the lead of the Drivers' Championship, so let's keep this momentum going.
And that's it then for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, and what a sensational victory they've managed to pull off here. And talk to me, what do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection. A shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
Well, what a thrilling end to an incredible Grand Prix weekend. Our top 3 finishers should be incredibly happy with what they were able to achieve out there today.
So there we go, we win the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. Lando Norris comes home in second place and Charles Leclerc in P3. So it's a completely different podium to last time. Last time we had me, TGL Motorsport, we had an Aston Martin, and we had a Red Bull, I think, on the podium. This time we've got TGL Motorsport again, but we've got a McLaren and a Ferrari, so it's a completely different podium here. And also, Lance Stroll, last race's winner, doesn't score a single point. Vettel is up there in P4, so it's a good result from him in the end. George Russell, he had a terrible qualifying, but I thought he would fight his way through the grid. He still ends up P13, so it's a terrible race for our teammate there, and now we lead the championship for, I think, the first time in this career mode of ours. We lead the championship by a pretty sizable margin as well, 15-point lead over Lance Stroll in second place, because, we still had a podium there and a race win, so we, carried on the momentum from last race, but the rest of the grid was pretty much just all over the place. I mean, Perez scored some points, but other than that, the top drivers from last race were all down towards the bottom this race pretty much. So, yeah, a complete change up of the grid here, so definitely looking interesting going into this whole season. And we also take the lead of the Constructors' Championship as well, ahead of Aston Martin now in second. McLaren move up to third. Red Bull are down to fourth after that poor showing from them this time around. Mercedes fifth, AlphaTauri down to sixth. Ferrari move up to seventh, with Alfa Romeo, the last point, finishes in eighth. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.